This is the midfielder Premier League players quietly feared the most. A man who didn't rely on goals, didn't chase headlines, but dominated games so completely that players like Victor Wanyama, Dele Alli, and even Kevin De Bruyne all said the same thing. Mousa Dembele was the toughest opponent they ever faced. And today we're breaking down why footballers dreaded Mousa Dembele and why at his peak, almost nobody on the planet could get the ball off of him. Mousa Dembele wasn't flashy. He wasn't yelling, celebrating, or demanding of the spotlight. But on the pitch, he was a cheat code, a 6'1" tank with a ballerina's balance, a street baller's creativity, and the strength of a heavyweight fighter. In an era filled with explosive midfielders, Mousa was different. He didn't just beat opponents, he erased them from the match. And let's start at the core, the things that made players dread facing him. First, ball retention. Dembele's ability to shield the ball wasn't human. There's a reason his teammates said he was impossible to tackle. Literally, from 2015 to 2018, he had a dribble success rate hovering around 80 to 90%, one of the highest in Europe for a midfielder. And you combine that with a 90% plus pass accuracy, and you get a player who moved like a winger and passed like a metronome. Everything came together between 2016 and 2018. This is when opponents started talking. Pochettino said, "He is a genius. For me, he is one of the greatest players in Tottenham's history." And players agreed. De Bruyne, when he wants, he can do whatever he wants. Company, I've never seen anyone like him. He was the anchor, the engine, and the accelerant. A player who didn't need stats to show dominance because the feeling of playing against him was the stat. And the perfect showcase of why players dreaded him has to be the round of 16 versus Juventus in 2018. This wasn't a soft team. This was a midfield built to bully you. Pjanic, Matuidi, Khedira, all experienced, ruthless, and physically elite. And Mousa, he walked into Turin like it was a training session. The commentators couldn't believe what they were seeing. At one point, Spurs completed 100 passes in a row, and almost every sequence flowed through Mousa. He finished that match with 94% pass accuracy, double-digit ball recoveries, 0 dispossessions, 0 times tackled against Juventus in their own stadium in the Champions League. That's not control. That's domination. And here's the truth every Premier League midfielder knew. You don't dive in on Mousa Dembele. If you commit, he's gone. If you stay off, he carries past you. If you try to shoulder him, you bounce off. If you anticipate his turn, he does the opposite. Opponents hated facing him because it felt like gambling with the rigged machine. He didn't need trickery, just perfect technique and absurd balance. He turned the midfield into a one-way street. And the dribbling honestly overshadowed something else. Mousa had elite football IQ. He knew when to slow the game down, when to accelerate, and how to pull defenders out of shape. He would bait pressure, absorb it, then slip the perfect pass to Kane, Son, Eriksen, Ali. Spurs weren't just harder to press when he played, they were almost unpressable. In that 2016-17 season, Tottenham had one of the highest possession retention rates in the league. Mousa was the entire reason the system felt effortless. When Mousa was at his peak, Tottenham were one of the best teams in England. They pressed harder, transitioned quicker, and defended with more confidence because they knew if the ball went to Mousa, they were safe. When he left in 2019, you felt the drop overnight. No replacement, no similar profile, no more cheat code. And this is where the dread becomes real. The personal testimonies. Premier League players were honest about him. Players like Jack Wilshere, the strongest player I've ever faced. Wanyama, training against him was harder than matches. Jan Vertonghen, he could have been one of the best players in the world. Even Danny Rose says, I've never seen anyone who could get the ball off of him. These are not soft players. These are elite athletes who spent entire matches bouncing off of someone who barely changed facial expressions. When you dive into deeper analytics, it gets even crazier. Mousa had one of the highest progressive carry rates among midfielders in Europe for multiple seasons. He was dispossessed less than almost any midfielder of his era. Genuinely one of the lowest rates recorded. He averaged over 2 successful dribbles per match, but did it with one of the highest efficiencies ever tracked. He ranked extremely high in ball recoveries, showing he wasn't just a dribbler, he was a complete midfielder. And these aren't flashy stats. These are control stats, the ones coaches love and opponents fear. Today, years after he's left Spurs, you still see his name pop up in discussions. Not because of goals, not because of trophies, because players remember him. This fear wasn't about pace. It wasn't about power. It wasn't even about skill. It was that helpless feeling, the moment you realized you couldn't win the duel. And that's why footballers dreaded Mousa Dembele, because for a few brilliant seasons, he was untouchable. The player's player, the midfielder's worst nightmare, a quiet destroyer who controlled games like puppets on a string. This was Mousa Dembele.